be there to keep us unloaded and somebody in Maryville, Missouri, which is I think 55 miles from the rest of the state. So, if you locate that, you can live on them. Okay. Is this your direct phone number? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
What's up, guys? I see people coming on. We're tired today. What's up, Ken? Hey, did you get that PowerPoint? Hey, Ken, did you get PowerPoints? What? What's your email? Put it on the screen for me. What's up, Keith? We're waiting for people to load up. Ah, I got it. I'll send it to you right now, brother. It's been a long week, guys. We've had a lot of people in here. I'm tired. This is the first day I'm doing some talking and I'm actually tired. How's everybody enjoying the laps on freight? What's up, John? Everybody like the new sound on my new microphone I got? I'm hands-free, look. You can come back anytime you want, brother. You guys got questions? I can see all the questions now. It sounds good? Awesome. So tonight we're going to talk about dispatching schools, dispatching, and some diversity on trucking companies, especially right now when freight's rough. How many people are having trouble with freight that aren't brokers? Hey, check your email, Ken. Let's give you. There's the hi. Come here and say hi, everybody. Look, see? Look. Oh, look, there's the trainers. Everybody see them? Oh, it's gonna burn. Oh, look, look, dude, the boys. Say hi, John. Oh, get ready to go. Big boy. Oh, don't bite him. Fred, stop biting him. What's up, guys? We're letting everybody get fired up on here. I want to talk about dispatching schools, dispatching services, why you use them. You guys know we had 275 new MC numbers today on the list. And with the freight the way it is, that's a lot of trucks coming into the market now. Right? Say hi. Tell them. What do you think? Huh? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Go. Tell them hi. Ready? Wow, guys, you know what's funny is we're doing the training classes that we have while we're waiting for everybody to get on here. You know, we had training classes going on. It's crazy. There's more and more people coming all the time. We ended up this week. We had another 8. Some people came and go. Tomorrow we leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're heading down to see Amy. She's in our group. She has a whole bunch of people waiting for us down in Cincinnati. We're meeting her at a library and have a room set up, and we're going to teach a bunch. I think she said like 16 at one time or something like that. That's crazy. But we still have a lot more places that we want to plan on going to do some training and spread the word. Guys, see, I have my map in the background. Seems like to be the most popular centerpiece. What's crazy is all those areas in that map are really having a rough time right now. There's really no great place to go. Everybody's crossing their fingers that the mail picks up and saves the day or some bad weather. I hope you guys got your numbers right, so that way when it happens, if it doesn't, what are you going to do? Especially all you new authorities that are less than 30 days old. The bigger brokers that have the freight are the ones that aren't going to pay you. What's up, guys? Anybody has questions or anything, you guys can put them up down to the side. We're going to be talking about dispatching services, why brokers should help dispatch to get carriers back, and control carriers to help carriers move freight for you. It helps. A lot of times they're having trouble. Why dispatching services are bad. It's 6 o'clock, so let's get started. You know, I'm tired today, so I'm not as motivated as before, so we're just going to ask questions, talk. You know, we're already, next week, we have brokers, we have carriers coming in. It's crazy. We have so much going on. We have already a book class. I think there's like 13, 14 people coming in. We're running out of room in here. It's nuts. We have people from Chicago. We have people from Texas. There's New York, Virginia. We got new carriers coming in, some dispatchers coming in. You know, it's funny because we keep getting calls like crazy from people that just don't know what their bottom line is. They've been doing what everybody says, chasing the spot market, but then they're just not making money. And you know, it's not always about making the overall dollar. Like anybody can go out there and chase fate and sometimes win. But when you start adding the next truck and the next truck, the next truck, and you start growing your company, and you're one of those carriers that has 5, 6 trucks, and you got company drivers, and you can't, and the truck breaks down, and you don't have no boys. Hey, boys, shut your mouth. Sorry, guys. It happens when you do it in an office and your trainers are pugs. All right, so one of the things about getting your authority I wanted to talk about. So every morning, stop. Every morning, just beat my pug up. So every morning, guys, I get a list of new authorities that come in. I get a new list of new authorities that come in every morning. And then, you know, and then I get phone calls all the time. I see 275 guys that are working for other carriers, that are new guys that just left schools, or they're people are just got out of school and they didn't like the opportunity that they got into school because they weren't getting paid enough. And then and so all these carriers spend all their hard-earned money and they go like crazy to get their authority. They file their MC number, and the first thing that happens to them is all these insurance companies call them, these factoring companies call them, and all these businesses call them. And they tell them they're going to do all this stuff, and they tell them they're going to offer a lower rate, and they're going to tell them they do all this stuff, and then they don't do anything. You know, and then they got these reports out that says FMCSA that says 85% of the industry is going out of business. In like 2 years, 85% of all the MC numbers are out of business. That's 2 years. So that only 15% are making it, and brokers is probably higher. You know, so what's causing all that? So one of the things that's causing a lot of that is so-called dispatching schools. Like there's 2 of them I wanted to address tonight in general. Is one is if, you know, first off, if you're going to use a dispatch service and that dispatch service is charging like 10% and offering factoring too, there's no service that's worth that when you go and you pay all that money to get your authority, let alone a service that a dispatching service. If you have a dispatching service and they're calling you up and asking if you need the loads, and you're making the decisions on those loads yourself, you should probably be doing it yourself. It's not that hard, guys. You got DAT and all out there. But, you know, there's some dispatching schools out there that I've heard of where there's a couple guys running, and they have a platform where you pay them $500, these people. And there's not just the carriers or cool people that are getting their authorities. There's other people out here that are being taken advantage of that want to diversify their industry, and they're getting stuck in the rat race. There's two in general that I want to talk about. One is people that answer these calls about dispatching services. There was these schools to learn how to dispatch. Like I see one a while back on an ad, the guy was posting all over the place. One time he says, we were dispatching for you. The next minute he says he'll teach your wife how to do it for $100, and he'll teach her how to freaking run a guy's livelihood in fucking 24 hours. How the hell are you going to do that? You can't do that. You cannot go on a webinar and learn how to dictate a guy's authority in 24 hours or 2 days, especially if you don't get any hands-on experience. It's just not going to happen, guys. And anybody that's going to one of these services that's charging $10, 10%, and you're allowing them to do it. I heard about this one that we keep popping up. It pops all over the internet. It's out of Georgia. And so the guy doesn't even use load boards. He brings people into the dispatching service. He charges these people $300. Now it's probably $500. And they come into the dispatching service, right? And he trains them somehow. One of the dudes even has an ebook. And so they have a platform where they use the load board, Trucker Path, to book your loads with. And then they're going out there and they're out there and you see people on their group all over Facebook getting as many email lists as they can from brokers. And so they're taking those emails and they're putting them into a load system so that you can go through their platform. And you can go through their platform and you can look at all these loads, and they're charging people 10% to do this. And this company already sucked as a broker. They lost everything. So this company's, I mean, the funny part is there's like 7,000 people or 700, 900. I don't know how many people. You hear so many stories. I know there's a lot of people that went through it. And so these people have a dream to either own a business or they own a trucking company. Whichever one, I don't care. They're going into this company and these guys are telling them they have lawyers, so you can't do this, and they'll have lawyers and you can't do this. If you try to do this or falsify that, you're in this with a dispatching service. And the first part of it, a dispatching service is a shady business anyways, because it's kind of really illegal. I mean, it's not legal to a point, but the government does have a law that says it is. So if you dispatch for more than one carrier, in my belief, if a carrier wants to pay somebody to dispatch, they have their choice to do it. So the carriers that are going to these people are part of the problem, because they get suckered into somebody to run your company for 10%, knowingly that they already have a program where they're training all these people to do it half-assedly using Trucker Path and a whole bunch of load lists that any of you guys on your own can go to the freaking broker and get it yourself, right? On the other hand, and so this is all wrong. They can't sue you if you go to a company and learn from these people, and you're already doing a business that's unpractical anyways for charging people 10% and 3% for factoring or whatever. It's not worth it. They're going to put you out of business. They're not going to do anything for you. You know, if you're working, there's nothing wrong with a dispatching service. If a dispatcher or a broker is offering you a dispatching service and they're booking loads for you and making above average income for you, and they're doing it at a feasible way where you can still grow your business, and they're helping you grow your business, like recruiting, adding on trucks, teaching you about safety score, doing compliance. And I'm not talking about just doing the MC authority and helping you do that. Anybody can get a permitting office in a factoring company and a fuel card guy and have them do it. I'm talking about the real work behind the scenes. Once you get going, making sure you stay safety compliant, knowing how much money you're making gross minor net is so you can add your company, teaching you how to diversify, adding on owner operators, and so that way you can do 2 owner operators to 1 truck, and then they're backing it by being a really good dispatcher and doing the freight. Not calling you up 24/7 and asking you every 5 minutes if you want to load, and you're like, what are you booking? Okay, no, that's good. Or if they call you and you book a load, the next thing you know, they book a load and you ask them where they're going next, and they still don't have a freaking clue because they didn't know how to even go and look and pre-plan you or anything. They barely do it. There's so much of that out there. And another thing that's bad, as I heard a story the other day, and since I've been doing training, this is another one that gets my goat, about people getting their authority and growing their own companies. So there's some places out in California where our last 5 students that came to our class, I won't say no names, And then a gentleman I was talking to the other night that works for a trucking company, and he's the dispatcher at the company. And there's multiple of this happening like all over the place where guys get their authority and everybody wants to bash the dispatching services that are trying to provide a service where you have the right to go book loads for them and they have a contract, whether it's legal or not. Where the legal part comes in is whenever you're a dispatcher and you're booking loads for a carrier and you go directly to the customer and the customer or the broker pays you and you're not a broker yourself or you're not a carrier, and then you collect the money and pay for somebody. Like I keep hearing about these trucking companies that are somewhat transleasing other carriers to their company. They're booking loads with brokers. They're taking $250 off the top or vice versa, a certain amount. Then they're charging the carrier like 10%, and they're sending when they dispatch the carrier, all they're doing is sending the pickup address and the delivery address and a pay sheet. They're not even allowing the carrier to even know that who they're booking it with. Sometimes it's on their authority, sometimes it's not. A lot of the times it's not on their authority, and they just figure if there's a claim or something on the load, they'll just pay it themselves. They're not even using the guy's MC number. So the guy's already paying his cargo insurance and all this other stuff. That is not good, guys. It's terrible. That is not the way to do it. It's bad. You guys go, that's why 85% of the industry is going out of business, because of people like that are taking advantage of people, dispatching services that are being taken advantage of, and broker schools that aren't fulfilling everything they're supposed to be doing, you know? So I'm tired tonight, if you can tell my voice. But so if you're a trucking company and you got 4 or 5 trucks, or you guys to get to your authority, let me tell you, one of the things I say to do is if you're active and you can't get a load board yet, you know, you can always go get Trucker Path for free. You can get DAT load board. You can get Trucker's Edge. I like DAT. You can even get 123 if you want to. I don't really care. Go get a load board. See the map behind you? What I highly suggest is anytime you're a new carrier and you're wanting to learn the lanes, don't just survive off the spot market and stuff like that. One of the things I highly suggest is you get a map like that, you wrap out the regions, right? And one of the things you have to learn in the industry is what one of those regions pays to the other regions. There's 5. And so you got the Midwest, you got the Northeast, the South, and Southeast. Man, guys, Adobe is only like $14 a month. You go and you take your MC authority, your W-9, and you take your insurance and you scan it into your Adobe before you go out on the road. You can even get a printer that goes in the truck, but Adobe's fine. You can have it on 2 users. You can even sign it on your phone. You upload that into your computer and you take it on the road with you. You get your laptop out, and anytime you're sitting and you get a few minutes during the day, or if your wife or anybody like that that's with you, all you got to do is go and pick 3 cities, or if you're a broker wanting to learn the freight, pick 3 cities in the Northeast, pick 3 cities in home, pick 3 cities in the seasonal area. Pick 3 cities out there where it says game, and pick 3 cities in the West Coast, right? If you guys are not familiar, if you guys look at the map, my United States map, and those seasons are going on, and you can't tell me what it pays going from one section to the next, you know? And, you know, you need to go on there and you need to look. So first thing I suggest is you get a load sheet. And if anybody needs a load sheet, we have them. I will send you one. See it? Load sheet. Everybody look. Look how nice that is. A load sheet. So go on the load sheet. What I highly suggest is you guys get your map and you go up in the top right-hand corner. You start with the Northeast, guys, unless you don't run those areas. If you're only going to be a Midwest guy, get you a piece of paper and outline the Midwest, right? Like that. Just make a box, you know? And so what I get a load sheet. And all my load sheets, they're real simple, guys. They say broker's name, MC, contact, phone, the starting location, the loading location. You can see where it delivers. There's your total miles, the negotiated rate that you're going for, your load weight, your pickup time, your delivery time, any special instructions you see in there. And then if you use a factoring company, get in the habit of making sure their ass pays. They credit check, right? It's all on one sheet. This is kind of like your broker checker sheet, so that way no one can get anything past you. And you guys can upload this and do it on the internet. You don't have to print them off like me. So what you do is the first thing we always do when we book loads is we never go by the miles on the boards, right? So you don't, and we're teaching this so you guys can learn not to use a dispatching service. You can do it all on your own. So first you have to get familiar with the thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in those 3 areas, 3 states. We're going to pick like Philadelphia, Maine, Boston, Massachusetts, and, you know, Burnell, West Virginia. And so we're going to go on our load board and we're going to type in the town that we pick. What we want to do is find a load that is picking up and delivering in each box and pick up and deliver to each other box. So we should have 5 phone calls for every city in each box. And what we're going to do is start learning with the repetition of how much people pay and how much is going on. And do that before you go active. You can use Trucker Path. It's free. Before your MC number ever goes active, you guys can go to Trucker Path. If you're a broker and you don't understand the other side of it, use this technique to learn how freight moves so you understand how you could talk to other carriers whenever you're trying to move your freight. You know, and then, so once you start making those calls and learning all this stuff, you know, start running a ghost truck for like 7 days. One of the things you guys could do too when you're making these calls so you won't get a double whammy when you're doing it, why don't you, when you make these calls, ask brokers, how long do I have to be in business to haul for you? Right? Do you guys have more than one office, or you guys have a couple offices, right? If I see a load that I want on the board, can I work directly with you, or do I have to work with each office individually? Right? Can I get 2 emails, one for your business, one for your junk, and then go ahead and set these guys up. Get the guy's email you're talking to, and put it in the group email so you can blast all this stuff out. Start doing it, but start building a list that you know who you can haul for. Especially if you're a new carrier and then you plan on doing dispatching later on. Do your homework ahead of time. Use the boards to do it so you get yourself ahead so it's not so scary when you start out. Keep yourself from having to use dispatchers. I mean, anybody got questions? I'm just rambling tonight. I don't really have a topic. You know, if you guys are one of those companies that has 5 trucks, 2 trucks, 3 trucks, and you're having trouble and you're borrowing off one truck to the next and you can't figure out how to move, give us a call because you need to diversify. You need to add on some owner operators and get some extra money coming in. You need to learn how to do that. And you need to, guys, there's so many different ways to make money. There's company trucks, there's owner operators, there's dispatching for other carriers, there's using all 3 of those assets, and there's becoming a broker with your assets. Anybody that has a trucking company should definitely become a broker, or at least go after customers. If you want a trucking company and you don't want to become a broker, you just want to go direct, definitely do it. Who has questions tonight? I got more comments. Hi, Felicia. My wife's laughing at me. How do you get the list of new MC numbers? There's a guy. Hey, Jeff, you still on here? Hello, Dante. Thanks, Ken. Hey, Jeff, you still on here? Hi, Diane. Anybody needs any of the documents, you can email scooby0976@gmail.com, or you can text me and I'll get you that information. The boys are ready to go. All right, hey Jeff. So there's a guy named Dave Cleveland, guys. He's been doing the lead business for a really long time. I'll turn it over here and show you so everybody can see. So he owns this company right here. Everybody can look. You see that? Oops, let me zoom back. I'm gonna use my camera. There it goes. I zoom in. Hold on. There you go. See that phone number, guys? Anybody that's in the mode to get new MC leads that don't want to scrape them themselves, this gentleman right here will hook you up with some leads. Good friend of mine. That's what he does for a living. He hooks them up for the insurance companies. You see them all. I'm not going to show them all to you. You can get them, but they're all right here. As the brokers that want to call carriers. Everybody see that? Need the number again? I could tell you. Oh, cheap, very nice. So do that training, guys, and that's what's going to give you the independence over the power of being able to move freight and know what it bids, you know? And, you know, a lot of times when people don't understand, they think it's boring reading all those email lists, right? But it's not really boring because there's a lot of stuff. Now you can be a carrier as long as you have your authority. What's it say? Reply in Alonzo. So we don't need to be a broker to ship directly. No, it's just good. If you're going to give, Alonzo, if you go as a carrier, if you have assets, you're going to go directly to a customer, and you can even factor that freight directly from the customer. But the catch is, if you're going to help other carriers with freight, so you're a carrier and you get that freight, and then you end up getting more freight that you can't take care of yourself. What's happening to a lot of people is they're taking that freight and conning carriers into working for them, and they're doing it illegally, and they're collecting the money and paying for them. That is totally against the law. You cannot do it. It's not allowed. No. But if you and so Jeff said if anybody needs help creating PDF forms and stuff like that, man, he's in our group. He'll be glad to help all you guys. So look, that's a cool note. So Alonzo, so if you're a carrier and you land a customer, which I highly suggest you start going after them and learn how to use your trucks to network with them when you're there at the receivers and different things, and find out and get out and work. And anybody needs help with knowledge on that, we would be glad to help you here in Brazil. But if you go to a customer and you land it with your carrier, and then you go to motor carrier authority, right? So if you get your motor carrier authority, Alonzo, and then you start driving active, and then you go and you land a customer. Well, you can go directly to that customer and get freight. But if you decide to give that freight to another carrier, you can't do that. Because, like, let's say, me as a carrier, and I go and I get a customer and it pays really freaking good. And I got 9 family members in trucking and friends. And I go and I tell all my friends, hey, I'll hook you up with that customer. You guys give me 15%. You pay me, and I'll hook you up directly. But don't take my customer. How many of you think that'll happen? Come on. They won't screw you, will they? Right? So to be able to take the freight outside your own carrier, then you get to see Miss Diane Yacinko at Pacific Financial, because, like, dude, it's like $1,600 and you can have your MC up and going. And if you have a motor carrier authority already, that makes it even easier to get set up with factoring and get moving on the freight. And having assets to go after freight is a hell of a lot easier than not having assets. Questions? Guys, don't fall for the whole dispatching service school thing, man. I mean, there's some good ones out there. I'm not saying they're all bad. They don't have the right information and stuff, but you got to learn how to do the work. And the problem is you're not allowed to do the work on some carrier's expense because you think you know everything in the world. That this guy just went and spent $20,000 on insurance, or $5,000 down and $50,000 on a truck and everything, just because you drove a truck for all these years and you suddenly thought you were a glorified dispatcher and you could take care of his livelihood when his family and his kids and everything's on the line, because you want to make $10,000 a year a truck or more. Well, if you're that one company, they're making probably $20,000 a year a truck. And the funny part is, all those people that are going to that one certain school in Georgia, or both of them, the only guy that owns the house is the guy that owns the group. Everybody else just paid $500 to help him circle jerk himself at night when he's living in his big old mansion, and he's screwing over all these carriers at 10% for doing nothing with his lawyers and stuff. It's the stupidest stuff I ever heard. You guys can't go do that. You can't go. You're not going to do it. But I mean, I understand why people do it. They go to dispatcher school because they're working a crappy job. Some guy tells them they can make $10,000 a year truck working out of their house, and he fills the truck drivers full of crap, and then he offers a service to these people, and he's got you all scared with the lawyers and stuff. I mean, it's dumb. Guys, it's not that hard. Call me up. I'll help you hook up a map. I'll give you a PowerPoint and show you how to do networking so you can teach yourself how that map works. And you guys can start calling brokers and find out who you can haul for. And you can get Adobe for $14, man, a month, and you can do all your packets on there. It's really not that hard to book your truck out so many weeks, I mean, even if you did $1.80 a mile and you did 3,000 miles a week, that's $5,400, right? And then you have your insurance. That's $15,000 a year that most of us, unfortunately, are putting down. Let's say it's 20. You put $4,000 down, you're left with $16,000. You take $16,000 and divide it by 43 weeks, which is 10 months, right? So now we're at 21 with $3.50 a gallon, 3,000 miles divided by 6 miles a gallon times 350. That's $1,750. So now we're at $400 at $1,750. That's $2,150, right? If we have to pay a driver, they're going to get $1,500. So, or if we have to have it ourselves. So, I mean, $3,000, $3,100 a week is almost $12,000 a month. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, you could do better than that on rates, but if you could minimum, how many guys out there, they could minimum every week and go home on the weekend and bring home $12,000 or $14,000 a month on $1.82 a mile on their own with no help from a dispatcher? I mean, that's damn good money, is it not? What's up, Derek? What's up, Dane? What'd you say, Ken? It's called back, Dory. Please send me an email. I would like help. So, Alonzo. Why would a new MC number sign on with another authority? Can you explain the positives and negatives? A new MC number, most new MC numbers that are signing on authority, if it's like JB Hunt, they got a program set up where they're doing it legally, or like you're transleasing on a Swift, or doing the Kroger thing with Titus down here, or you're doing Heartland, where you're doing their power only and stuff like that. But if a new trucking company, a lot of the ones that's bad that we're talking about are trucking companies where guys start trucking companies and they never really learn how to run it. They even get up to 5, 10 trucks of company drivers, and all they've been doing is chasing their butt around in circles. And then some dude comes along and shows them a little bit of good freight and brings them in. And so that dude's using their authority. They're paying the cargo insurance, and he's not leasing on. Positive, negative, owner, operator, lease on that. I'm sidetracked. All right, so positive can sign on, a new MC number, sign on with another authority. Yeah, that's right. All right, so sign on another authority. You can't let a new MC number run your company in the ground on his behalf where he's dispatching you and not showing you the rate confirmations to make sure if that carrier, if a dispatcher's running it under your name, under the rate cons and stuff, that's fair, even though people say it's still legal. But if a carrier is using another carrier and that carrier is pulling freight for that carrier and that carrier is paying them on their own freight that doesn't have that carrier's name on the rate cons, and it's happening all the time. We've had 3 in our office, and I talked to one the other night on the phone that was doing it, and they're getting away with it, and they're all hush-hush about it. They're taking money off the top like they're a broker. Then they're taking 10% like they're a carrier he's leased on, and there's none of that happening. That is wrong. And an owner-operator, the reason why a guy owner-operator would lease on with a trucking company is because an owner-operator is going to lease on because a lot of them either don't have the knowledge of doing it on their own, maybe they don't have the credit, maybe they don't have the trailer or the financials, the money to get the insurance. It was too high. Maybe they're less than 2 years old and the insurance was $30,000, $40,000. Some of these insurance rates are freaking crazy out here right now. So maybe they got the truck, they paid for the MC number and they couldn't do it. They didn't make it. Maybe it's just a guy that, a lot of it is just information that they don't know. I mean, you go to a lot of these owner operator companies, a few of them are, but a few of them aren't. They're not teaching you anything. The biggest problem with turnover today with company drivers is company drivers want to be owner operators. Period. They don't want to drive around for $1,000 being dictated and staying out 4 weeks at a time to get 1 day off a week, and then they end up getting screwed out of 2 of those because they never get home on time. And then company drivers and then owner operators, They either want a company where they can do everything themselves and they're getting paid fairly across the board, a nice rate, or they want to do it themselves. The problem is, like I said, there's a lot of bad information. It starts with factoring companies. I mean, you tell me why insurance companies, everybody talks about all these insurance companies being so great, right? Well, the insurance guy makes 10% of your policy. So everybody on here that has their authorities that file them or they're going to, remember you get your calls. So all the insurance companies out there file their insurance, and they do your insurance. They give you a crazy rate, and that's all the money you got saved up. They give you the rate, and then they do a lot of times. The craziest part is you'll file your MC number and they con you into the rate in the first week or two. When the funny part is you can't even go active for 21 days. So then when you go active, I'm telling you, you're not going to go active even for the first week unless you have your IFTA already, because you're lucky to get your plates before you filed your MC. But a lot of guys don't have that. So you file you get your authority, you file your insurance the first or second week because he told you had to. Then on your 21st day, you go active. Then you have a whole nother week because most of these states are going online and you have to wait for your IFTA, right? So now you have another week. So then the very next week, you haven't even started pulling freight yet. Your $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 insurance payment due. And you know what's funny? You go tell the insurance guy that you can't pay the payment because you haven't even started making money yet. And I bet he don't show you how to do it, show you how to make money. I bet they don't know anything. And the stupidest part about it is the insurance guy gets 10% of whatever the policy is that he funded, and then he's going to have to give it back. I like dry van because dry van's most consistent all year. Flatbed, you make a lot more money sometimes, but it has such a downturn to it certain months. Unless you're lucky and you live in the right area. And reefer's the same way. It's really hard because, I like dry van because dry van will haul 30% of flatbed and 30% of reefer. And the best part is, starting out with dry van, is the people that pull dry vans. It's not as hard to get drivers to pull dry vans. The problem is people always try to take drivers that pull other stuff and put them in. It's like you take dry van drivers and pull reefers because they think there's more money in it, but they don't really have a freaking clue what they're doing. Same with flatbed. When you're a new carrier and you're starting out, unless you're a one truck company, but if you plan on diversifying your fleet at all and you expand your company, you can't put drivers and stuff that they don't have no knowledge about. And then what you're going to do is buy the equipment, and then you're going to get desperate because you got to have drivers in it, and you don't have any owner operators to go along with it, right? So now you're going to get stuck again, right? You don't have no owner operators to go along with it, diversify anything, and then you're just getting stuck with debt because you're borrowing off yourself. You got the drivers getting claims, your insurance goes through the roof. We had a guy in here today that he's paying $30,000 for insurance, and he went, and that, I'm not joking, and they're leasing trucks. And they went to New York, and he got there, and their insurance company, because of the way they were flying by the seat of their pants, their insurance company, they got nailed in New York, and they thought they had everything from their insurance company. So they're paying the insurance company $30,000 a truck, no joke. So they got nailed in New York. And one of the trailers wasn't even on. The trailer wasn't even on the insurance, but they can't do anything about it. You think that insurance company's going to bail them out and pay the $1,000 tow ticket plus what they got nailed when they're in there, and the time and the load getting messed up? New company on Facebook advertise you, run under them. They pay the insurance. They charge 20%. You dispatch your stuff from a load board line. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Oh, I don't see anything wrong with that, Omar. If you want to go lease on with a guy and give them 20%, they pay the insurance. You self-dispatch, and then they rent you a trailer for $600 a month. That's fair. I mean, you just remember your own authority. You're only paying 3%. 3% if you do factoring, and then you're going to do your insurance will be $1,600 a month. So 20% is $4,000 a month. And then $600 for a trailer, which you could do yourself on a new one. So you take $4,000 a month minus $1,600 and another $400. So you're losing $2,000 doing it for them. It's all about what you need. What's up, Corey? Got an offer going from Iowa to New York. Was afraid that we would get stuck in New York. What would you do if you were in my place? I wouldn't go to New York unless I had to. See, I don't, when I do my dispatching and I do my training, or if I have an owner operator that comes on to my company, some of the first things I do is I ask the owner operator or the driver, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What is your goals? How much money you want to make? So then I draw a box. And in that box is where my owner operator lives. So if my owner operator lives in Indianapolis, so on my map, I pick a section of where he's going to be. And my job is to keep him in that area and know what he needs to make, minus my percentage of fuel and the insurance, and what he needs to make, what he could potentially survive off. So if I have owner operators or company, just like if I hire a company driver and I'm paying him $1,500 a week, I know he's going to make $1,500 a week. So I got to know how much I need after that. So if I need $7,000 to $8,000 a month, right? So I know my insurance is $400, my fuel's $1,750. He wants $1,500, and I need to clear $2,000 more than that. So my minimum would be about $5,600. So if I need to hit $5,600 minimum or higher to at least make sure I'm making $8,000 or whatever dollars a month, so I pick a formula that works best for me. So if I have a driver that lives in the Midwest, I'm going to stay in the Midwest. Even though I could get the urge to go to the Northeast, I'm not doing it. I don't care how much it pays, because all it takes is for me to freight chase to the Northeast one time and then not be able to come back out or lose a load. And then in the real business of running consistently, that one time I lose a load, what if I can't make that up? Even if I could pre-plan the guy or get enough money to cover myself in there, what if I lose a day? Then when I lose a day and I still have to take a cheap load back out of there goes all the money I made going in, right? So if I know I can stay in the hot states or the Midwest at the right time because I did my research on my map and I understand where everything pays, then I just stay right where I'm at. Does that make sense? I stay where the money's at. I'd rather run consistently and do $24,000, $26,000 a month than a freight chase from Texas to PA or Iowa to New York or whatever. You know, some guys like that. Some guys like to. Everybody has their own profession, own what they want to do. You know, if you like taking the risk of banging out one load that pays $5,000 to go from Monday to whatever to New York, to take that risk to pay the tolls and mess with DOT and all the congestion and all that crazy stuff, then go for it. But I'm just not, I don't think like that way. I think about consistency because I've been running multiple trucks for so long. I mean, we run 40 some odd. I think we have 8, 16, 17, so that's 24. We got like 36 plus another 20 some odd up in Michigan, you know? So when we have that many trucks, we have to provide so much across the board, and we want to keep them all pre-planned. We don't want to be waiting the last minute to cover a truck. I agree, Frank. That's why, and I do it different. Everybody else does like all this part about maintenance and stuff like that. So I figure like a set of tires, my truck payments, you know, because no one can look into a crystal ball and imagine what's going to happen. You know, you just can't live like that. You know something's going to happen, but if you're not building $2,000 or $3,000, or if you're, you know, so if your bills, like I said, $1.80 times 5,400. Because everybody out there knows it's going to change. I mean, you see people on Facebook now, they're so mad that they don't know their rates and their money, and they say they do. All they're doing is blaming shit on people for hauling cheap freight. They don't even have a clue. They think everybody in the world out there, because brokers are giving low rates, are hauling cheap freight. That's stupid. It's not true. But if you have a company driver or you have an owner operator building a fleet, right? So if you have one company truck, guys, and you have a driver that wants $1,500 a week, and you can only run them legally, you're on e-logs. And even if you're running off e-logs, you still got to run 3,000 miles a week. So if you figure your minimum like $1.80, $1.70, $2, whatever it is, a lot of guys are going to tell you can't do it. So if you look, half the people I talk to, they say their bills are between $4,000 and $6,000, right? So if I'm going to burn 6 miles a gallon at $3.50 a mile and 400, 300, 400, 500 in insurance, and I'm going to pay a driver $1,500, I'm looking at $3,600, right? So if I do $1.80 times 3, that's only $1,800. So if I know my bottom line, no matter what I do, is $5,600 or even $5,800, and I keep myself in an area to where I'm doing $1,000, $1,200 a day and running him a 500 to 1,000 miles in 1 or 2 days consistently and getting him home for the restart consistently, so he can enjoy his family, so he don't get killed on the road remembering nothing, right? And then I know my bottom line, so I know what I gross and what I'm going to net in all those years. So then, so that leaves me. If I'm not an owner operator, if I'm not a company driver, it'll leave me $3,200 off a minimum week. And we all know we can do better. Everybody out there has done $6,000 and $7,000 and $8,000. But if you still got to make sure you're taking care of that minimum all the way across. If you don't make money, the bills aren't getting paid. It's not about satisfaction to credit. It's business of making money. And then if you want more, stop trying to drain it out of one truck. Add more trucks. Add more owner operators. I personally agree that you should have 2 owner operators leased on the one company truck. That way, if your company truck goes down, you can still take care of the driver, pay bills, and stop borrowing off your profits. And you should be able to make $800 to, even if you did 15%, that's $810 a week. And then you had times 2, that's $1,600. If you only made $1,700, $1,800 off your owner operator at a minimum, I'm not saying you can't do more. You could do $25,000 and $3,000 and still pay the driver. Right? I'm always doing minimum statistics. Everybody's like, well, those are really low. I didn't say that's all there was. So what's up? What else we got going on, guys? I'm not against dispatching services. I'm just against the dispatching schools that are taking advantage of people that want to be a dispatching service. And then in return, they're taking advantage of dispatching carriers that don't even know they shouldn't be dispatched. You know, when you have that many new MC numbers every day, those guys do not get out here in the industry to get misled and taken advantage of, which they already are on all aspects, from factoring, insurance companies, to different stuff, you know. So, I mean, now you got dispatching services that are going out there and they're doing it wrong. There's 2 kind of people that need dispatch. There's people out there that get their authority that don't have nobody at home. They're not computer literate, and they really could take advantage of dispatching. And then there's also guys that invest in the company from foreign places or wherever that don't have the capable of doing it that are doing it. But anybody that has a wife or capable of computer literate or got in authority to grow their company and stuff, you know, those people are the ones that need to be able to do it themselves. They don't need to be dictated by dispatch. You know, in 2014, we were running about like 50, 60 trucks. And we would set these trucks up and we would get them running. And we'd get them all started and run them for like 3 months. And then a guy would be like, man, I want to go on my own and grow it. I'm going to get Mabel, my daughter, or whoever to run the company. And I used to be this guy who's always all pissed off about it. And then I started watching the companies because I'd help them get set up and do their MC number and all that great stuff. And then they would want to move on. Well, then I'd always be pissed off because they were wanting to move on. And I don't want to help them no more because I did all the work. I felt neglected. Boys, I felt neglected over it because they were leaving me after I did all that work. Or they were just stupid because I knew everything. Or all that stuff. But what I really learned is I did a good job on helping them get started. I was great about helping them make money and get them going. But the big problem was they weren't making it afterwards because they never done it. They never talked to the brokers. They never did anything. All they did was check calls. So it's still no different than when they were owner operators or company guys. So now when they go to do it on their own, they haven't done safety. They haven't done this. They haven't done that. So now here you go. You start seeing these guys crash. Boom, bam, they're out of business. They put on drivers, have no clue. It's not fair. Stop. Sorry, guys. It's the trainer. It's not fair to them to be able to have that. That's why we do what we do. That's why we open the school where we have 5 trainers and we're booked up, man. We got guys coming in like crazy. You know, so if you guys are getting in the industry and you want to get your authority, are you guys, I'm sorry I'm not like all motivated and pumped tonight. You guys are in the industry and you want to get your authority, you want to learn how freight moves, your brokers that need to learn how the other side of it works so that way you can move the freight as a broker. You want to learn how to dispatch yourself, teach your husband, teach your wife, You want to teach your daughter. We have people that bring their daughters in. I mean, whatever you want to do. We have a class here with 4 trainers in Brazil. It's totally free, right? There's no strings attached, no catches. You come in. We work with some really good sponsors. We have Rig Nation, man. I mean, Rig Nation is my favorite sponsor besides Triumph. And they're all my favorite sponsors, but Rig Nation is really cool. I always like to bring them up because, you know, these drivers out here, I mean, I seen a guy the other day that got nailed for a $1,200 tow for like 30 miles after hours. You know, if he had Rig Nation, and winter's coming too, he would be able to get tows from Rig Nation weekly, or when he needed them, up to 50 miles, and it's only $600 for 1 year per truck. And they have financing available, so if you have multiple trucks. You know, so this covers like winching, you get stuck, all kinds of different stuff. And they're on our page or on our group down low. You talk to Javier. Those guys are awesome. I mean, winter's coming. Think about all the maintenance issues, the little inspections and stuff like that that you have that you can save yourself by having that roadside service. I mean, everybody should have one. It's like AAA for cars. And they're 48 states. They got 25,000 vendors. They're really cool. The other program I like that Rig Nation has is, you know how many times in 1 year that I've seen people that buy trucks from Arrow and all these different places, right? Come here, boys. Come here. Come here. Fred. I've seen all these guys go buy trucks, right? They go to a dealership or buy it. Come here. Come here, Fred. They go to a dealership. Come here. Come on. They go to a dealership and buy a truck. You know, the dealership's not going to help you. They'll sell you an extended warranty, but they don't care. You know, they're not going to jeopardize their sale over it. So with Rig Nation, they will actually send an inspector as long as the truck is 800,000 miles or 10 years. You know, it don't have to be just a dealership. It could be for your fleet, buying it from an individual or whatever. But they will send an inspector out to the dealership to help you guys with your authority, right? Or help you with the authority, my brain so dead. Help you with the truck. They'll inspect it for you, make sure you're not buying a bad truck. I bet everybody on my screen can go or watches this video can think of people that bought a truck that did got a warranty that ran out, that they couldn't get another one, or they got a warranty and the truck was still lemon because the dealership said it was DOT certified and they got screwed, right? These guys are sending people out and helping you before you get the warranty, so that way they know they're not getting screwed and you're not getting screwed. That's pretty awesome. So you guys got to check out Rig Nation for roadside service and stuff. And as always, we still have Triumph Business Capital with Matt Green. There's Fred. We got Triumph Business Capital with Matt Green over at Triumph. They're one of our biggest sponsors. We do a lot of work with them. So guys that are not happy with their factoring and funding and stuff like that, they don't like the place they're at, they're tired of terrible service, you know, they don't like the portal, they don't like sending in paperwork where they can't keep track of it. They want a real-time portal where they know they're getting paid the same day. You know, they want TMS systems and stuff like that. Triumph really supports our training like crazy. They have really great rates. They're very competitive. They do buy out contracts if you're ready to go, if you can leave. If you're new, they have competitive rates. They have sliding rates per your volume that gets bigger. But their technology is really cool. And when they work with DAT and have that check mark, the credit checks are fast. Then if you're a broker that already has customers, which I highly suggest oops.